is 1-0 with him completely as the head coach, joined by former Wolverine Jerry Diarios. We're ready to talk about this victory. And Jerry, there's a million things to talk about. It was a little bit of a hairy situation in the fourth quarter, and it came down to a big play by a big-time player there in the fourth. How did you see it?
Well, you mess with the bull too long, you get the horns, and that's what they did at the end. They went after Johnson all night long, and they got a couple, missed a throw for a touchdown. They could have been a big game changer, but they went after him, and he made him pay at the end. There's a lot of things to talk about tonight. Obviously, I thought defensively we showed up like anticipated. A couple things I was disappointed defensively, but all in all, what I anticipated. Offensively, it took a half to get moving, and I think we found our ground game. I think we're going to be fine on the ground, and we'll go from there. Denny, you go from there.
Pretty wild strategy if you're Fresno State to say, let's go after the number one corner. But they were having a lot of, I say a lot, there was a number of different plays that they went out there. He had a near interception in the first half, and then he got beat, and he could have got beat for a touchdown if the throw and catch were right there. Yep. Also, and then they were continuing to do it. What about that strategy? If you're sitting over there and you say, is this one of those things like you say, hey, if we can't beat their best player, let's go right at him, show them we mean business. Obviously, that was part of the game plan, and it almost worked.
Denny, what do you do against Michigan's defense? The thing that concerned me the most tonight about our defense was the lack of rotation at the 1 and 3 techniques. The spells for Graham and Grant. We know Benny can play. We know he can get out there. But I was disappointed Etta didn't get out there in one of those positions, or a couple other guys. With that said, you can't. I mean, it's you're rolling the dice trying to run the ball on us, because you're going to end up usually 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8, something like that behind the chain. So what do you do then? You I don't know. What do you try to do? Short passes? You try to go after Johnson. Real risky. Almost worked a couple times, but at the end, a typical Michigan defensive performance, giving up only 10 points.
I thought it was risky the way Michigan approached the game. It felt like it was an exhibition game or a spring game, or like the NFL has their preseason games. That's the way it looked a little bit in the first half. Look, we talked about a quarterback rotation, and they had one. It was a different looking one. Orji coming in at all kinds of different places, but going with a rotation of the defensive backs, the one series you're thinking, all right, Will Johnson's out. You're like, oh, that's not right. Very news. Right. So then he's not another series. You think, well, he's probably hurt. Then they're like, Jair Hill's out too, and then they're like, no, he's fine. They're just rotating him in there. That's putting these guys in that kind of situation. That was a risky call. And I don't know if it didn't backfire on him, but what about that strategy from Sharon?
Well, that's what I'm saying, Denny. I'm real surprised that we decided that our DBs were deeper there, and we have more of a rotation available in the secondary than we do up front. That was kind of disappointing to me. But it does show that we have some depth in the secondary. We can play with 6 and 8 guys in the secondary in that rotation. I just want to see a little bit more beef on the defensive line there. Guy got in, Rolder got in the mic, and that way he made a couple of nice plays. I liked what he did a couple times. So we've got depth everywhere else. I'm a little bit discouraged about those two insides.
Yeah, I'm going to go over to the offensive side. That was one of the worst calls I've ever seen, where they had Guy with the two-hand touch in the back, and the quarterback took a dive. I mean, he barely touched him. They should be able to have.
And then BARHAM gets called when Sherrod steals his towel. on the same play. So he gets we get 30 yards in penalties, and we still end up getting a pick six. So that's the way the defense got that sudden change and got it back for us.
Yeah, that reminded me of the 2015 Lions playoff game against the Cowboys, where there was this face guarding, and then Des Bryant came out and was screaming and they didn't call anything. So that was just a moment. It was good that didn't end up costing Michigan the game. All right, Jerry, what about the quarterbacks and the way that Kirk Campbell and Sharon Moore and the offensive staff juggled them and how they played the QBs? What did you think of that?
Well, okay, first of all, I'm seeing a lot of doom and gloom on here as far as comments, and I can understand that. The offense was very vanilla, lacked movement, lacked motion. The receivers tended to be covered a lot downfield. With that said, I thought the first half our offense was very basic at best. In the second half, I thought, and even the drive right before the second half, we got our run game going. And once you get that run game going, you could see how that other things opened up for us. And that was what was very encouraging to me in the second half. With, again, our quarterback rotation tonight, I thought was very effective. When you look at what Davis Warren did, he didn't extend the field like I would have liked to see a couple times. Maybe hitting that more on that one fade route. That would have been nice to hit that on that out and up. I think it was in the first half. But other than that, I thought Warren was very effective. Come out and we hit 3 consecutive third downs in the second half to keep drives going. So I thought he did some really nice things. We need to extend the field. And then we bring in Orji, and how many third down conversions did he get running the ball? So when you look at what both quarterbacks bring to the table, I thought we utilized them very effectively.
Yeah, I think if Michigan plays like they did at quarterback and they block like they did with the offensive line, they'll get beat by a couple touchdowns by Texas. But I don't think that's going to happen. Late in this game, I'd say when Fresno got that first touchdown and made it a 16-10 game, if Michigan comes out and plays like they did after that, there was a switch that was flipped, an urgency, whatever you want to call it. They moved the ball down the field. They ran it with Mullings effectively. He was a battering ram. Warren was able to find Colston Loveland there at the end for the touchdown. That was clearly Michigan's best drive, and they looked dominant, and everybody played well. If they get that going and play the Longhorns like that, then they can beat Texas. So which one is it going to be? You make that improvement from game 1 to game 2. That's always something that you're looking at here for people that are disappointed in Donovan Edwards. Donovan Edwards can go, and there's you can see him busting off a couple 50-yard runs against Texas. I wouldn't say that would be out of the realm of possibility, but I'm disappointed in Alex Orji being able to throw the ball, and it was only one. I know it was nice that he threw the touchdown to Edwards to start the game. That was great, but the one where he was in there for 2 consecutive plays and he buried it into the ground, I know that's only one throw, but you have the feeling like, oh, well, that's why he's not the starter.
Right.
Because he made that.
We're talking about that response drive.
Yeah.
That was a great drive. But I'll tell you what, the drive before that, coming out from our 10-yard line, really established the second half for Michigan. Remember, this is not a bad football team. They're going to be competing for the Mountain West. And, we could see them again. We could see them again if we're in the playoffs. They could be in the playoffs. So this was a good win. We got some really nice drives in the second half. I thought our offense came together. We showed some good running abilities. I just think the first half was one of those things where you got 9 new starters, and that's what you get.
Yeah. What about the offensive line, Jerry? You know, we'd heard about, what was going on at center. And then it's not that I feel bad. It's one of these things where when you're an offensive lineman, you actually played offensive line. You'll go back and look at the tape. They'll grade them out each and every play. But, GIUDICE has the one on the short yardage. He gets pushed 3 yards back and then he was replaced and benched. So if I'm watching that, I'm saying GIUDICE just lost his starting center position.
But, then he came back 2 series later and he finished the game.
Yeah, so that's what I thought that I was going to make that point. What's up with Crippen? That he couldn't stay in there and get some more. So yeah, that play right there though will jump out. And then I don't know, overall until Mullings, Orji had a couple little splash plays here and there. Mullings kept working on him. And then of course he had that one drive where he was just running over guys who look like Earl Campbell a little bit out there, which is encouraging heading into Texas week. But overall, how'd you feel about the offensive line?
Denny, on that play, on that 3rd and 1, it was a huge play, and I'm not trying to make any excuses. The kid got under GIUDICE. I think the play should not be designed to go wedge right behind the center, because if you're going to get penetration, that's probably where it's going to come from. He's got to get the ball back to the quarterback and then get movement on somebody head up on him who's basically submarine and then getting underneath it. So I don't know. Maybe, I'm trying not to make an excuse for GIUDICE, but I might have tried to run that play somewhere else. Now, later in the game, you start seeing Orji with that read option. And that's the thing that's going to scare defenses. We're going to be in that 3rd and short situation much more in the season when our run game and our offense starts gelling. But now you're going to have to start accounting for that quarterback coming out the other end and not loading up that box, which is exactly what Fresno did. We just were going – everybody knew what the play was going to be. There was no threat for the read out the other end. Everybody was going to go down, and they found us at the middle, at the center, and that's where they made their push, and that's what stopped it. Offensive line play, I thought in the second half, they came out. They created a lot of holes. Mullings running hard. Edwards running hard. I'm kind of encouraged with our run game. I think our offensive line is going to be just fine. EL-HADI missed a twist for a sack. That hurt us, but you didn't mention him after that. That means he had a pretty good game, and our run game was pretty good from there on. So I was encouraged in the second half about our run game.
How about Davis Warren in the passing game? 15 of 25, 118 yards, and he has the one TD. He has an interception, that first one that he aired out and threw it a little bit short. I'd just say that some of the short passes and even 10, 15 yards in the middle of the field, he was okay. Loveland dropped one. That was a big one. But
yeah, that was a big one, yeah.
Throwing the ball down the sideline and throwing it over the middle, he's got to be a lot better. This is the thing. The offensive line is going to take time to develop. And hopefully they did right there at the end of the game into the fourth quarter. And it's the same thing with a quarterback. He's going to have to develop as well as a first-time starter. But he's got to – I would think that if you feel like they're going to beat Texas, that he's going to have a much better day throwing the ball down the field.
Well, Denny, there's the old adage that a quarterback should be averaging right around 7 yards per attempt. And so how many attempts did he have? 25, you said?
Yes.
Okay. What's he averaging? What? 4.5, 5 yards?
4.7.
4.5, 5 yards. Okay. Yeah. So, that's the thing. He's got to start extending that defense. But that doesn't go with just him. Those receivers got to start getting open. Now, Loveland seemed to be open all night long. And that was surprising. Again, another different type of strategy, Denny. Go after go after the number one corner in the country, and then leave the number one tight end in the country wide open. So I mean, don't let those let those guys beat us, and we'll play everybody else. I don't know. Maybe that was a strategy all along, but our outside receivers have got to do more and give us more production. We've got to utilize Sharon or Morgan, Shamaj Morgan a lot more. Even on run sweeps and that kind of stuff, we got to utilize him more. We got to get more of the ball some. And I really didn't see much from the transfers. The kid from Youngstown, I didn't see much from him.
Yeah, I saw him out there, checking my notes, who's number 5 and everything else. But yeah, an underwhelming performance from the wide receivers. Loveland, plays like a wide receiver, but he's not. And Morgan sat down pretty nice one time on a little curl, but not a lot there. Like you're talking about, they need to step up. I just say, Orji, the whole thing about the quarterback and everything else. Orji's not a quarterback that I'm looking at right now that you feel like that you could play for anything more than a series. I mean, he's a gadget guy. After watching him throw the ball, that's just watching him throw the ball in the spring game and then burying that one in there. And if it was a little bit closer, it's not that I'm all out on him. It's just like, I can't, I understand.
We know what we got with them. We know what we've got with them, and everybody else knows what we got with them too. But you still have to. You still have to defend any kind of short little boot like the touchdown pass he threw, and you got to defend his hits coming out the other end. I mean, I think we get that 3rd and 1 if Orji's in there and he reads that and comes out the other end. You're not going to be able to do that to Michigan anymore. Just load up that middle and try to penetrate. The other thing is, and this was kind of disappointing, I wanted to see Klein out there more. And, I saw him come up with a couple blocks, Loveland come up with a couple blocks. I think Klein might be an answer to extend the field a little bit more too. I think, that's somebody you can get the ball up to and let him go get it.
Yeah, and we've been down this path before when you talk about Donovan Edwards. I saw it a lot during the game. Like, Khalil Mullings is running back 1 for this team. It's like, okay, Khalil Mullings was running back. He took over the job of the second half in the key drive. He was Michigan's best running back. But Donovan Edwards remains a big-time weapon, one of the best weapons in all of college football. So figuring out how to get him going and busting him free, if you're a Michigan fan, maybe you feel good because it's Texas and Donovan Edwards plays really well in big games against big-time opponents. So finding out how to spring him. I thought it was interesting in the first half. Like, again, I thought Michigan was playing it like it was an exhibition game. When they got down there by the goal line, everybody's like, get Donovan Edwards out, pitch him the ball, get him wide or throw him the ball. When they got him down there, they ran him right up the middle. It reminded me of when he was a freshman. Like, I think that he said, I want to show everyone that I can get the tough yards and I can run right up the middle. And that's what they were doing with him there. So I don't know, like, finding a way to get him, like, if Michigan is going to be a team that's going to get to the college football playoff, they're going to need Donovan Edwards to be something close to Donovan Edwards in those big games. So that's going to be one of the big keys in this game against Texas, I would think.
I look for Donovan to show up big. I mean, it never fails, it seems like. Donovan comes out a little bit slow out of the gates and then steps it up in big games. Yeah, we'd like to see him do a little bit more in games like this, but Mullins stepped up. And so, that's the game tonight. Denny, how can we go this long without mentioning ZVADA? What a performance he put on tonight. I mean, that is a heck of a weapon. Now all of a sudden you've got to stop Michigan from getting to the 40-yard line, because anything inside the 40, it's a possible 3 points. So that changes a lot too. You're playing a different field position game now all of a sudden too.
Yeah, what are we talking about? 55-yarder, 53-yarder? Like, those are in the one. I don't know if it was the 55-yarder or the 53-yarder. I think it was the 53-yarder. Looked like it would have been good from 65 yards. That's the kind of lane.
45 and 45. I mean, those are 3 long field goals, and he made them with room to spare and looked cocky doing it.
Yeah, so I don't know, 60 and in. You're for this. This is the game now. You see it in the NFL. You've seen it for Michigan the last couple of years going out there. I put Jake Moody out against Ohio State. He'll try one from close to 60 yards, and they'll do the same thing now with ZVADA. Yeah, that's huge to be able to have somebody like that. You can count on, stick a dime.
It changes some of your defensive thinking. You've got to be more aggressive now. Earlier, you've got to stop them from crossing a line that they can get 3 points. And with Michigan's offense, the way it is, Michigan's offense will slow down Texas's defense. We'll get that ground game going on them, and Michigan's defense will step up.
Let's take some questions here, Jerry, to see what you're thinking with a couple minutes remaining here in the postgame. Michigan winning at 32-10 over Fresno tonight. BN says what troubled him more than the offense was Wink Martindale calling cover 0 when his front four was getting home at will. Reminded me of Don Brown blitzing when it was not needed. And there definitely was a cover 0 when the McBurrows ended up not being able to make the tackle, and he had nobody behind him. So that went for the touchdown. It was 16-10. Don't mind McBurrows, giving up the catch, but he can't allow that guy to go in there and score like he did. That was bad. But what about Wink bringing the house like he did there?
Well, I voiced this concern even in the spring that I thought he was going to be very aggressive. And many times tonight, that pressure didn't get home, but got the quarterback off his spot, got him off his feet, and moved his feet. I think Wink is going to come to the realization that he doesn't have to do that much blitzing, and because he can get home with 4, and because he can stop the run with 4. You saw Graham tonight. He's taking up 2 and 3 guys and still making plays. We don't need to do that kind of blitzing, and I think Wink is going to come to that realization that let your guys play a little bit. Let your guys play a little bit. But he did bring the heat. It was very effective early. I'm afraid that Evers has seen that kind of stuff and won't be as intimidated early with that kind of pressure.
Okay, let's try Kyle, who is saying that Davis Warren was fine. Too few open targets. His rhythm keeps getting disrupted by swapping Orji in. Hate the random deep ball play calls. It just doesn't work. All right, this is going to be something that the fans, that everyone is going to be talking about. The rhythm, the momentum, the different ways that you deploy the quarterbacks in there. It wasn't like he gave Orji a series. A lot of times when, I was looking at it, here's Orji just coming in, they run a play and then they bring him in on second down. They take him out. And then it'll be another series. Here he is coming in on second down. And, it wasn't till he had those back-to-back plays where it was the one where he threw it into the ground. So, I don't know. Well, go ahead, Jerry. Kyle talking about the quarterbacks here and saying in the end it doesn't work.
Kyle, I think time's going to tell. I thought they were both very effective. I would have liked to have seen Warren stretch the field a little bit more, have a little bit more yards per attempt. That would have been nice to see, but I thought they were both effective in what they were doing, especially in the second half after they got that rhythm that you're talking about. But, I've never been one to like that dual quarterback system. But like I said, tonight they look like they utilized both talents very well. And, time's going to tell. I mean, Florida did it with Tebow and Leak. And they also did it with Warfel. And I can't remember who was Warfel with. Who was the quarterback that Warfel was with that substituted. So, I mean, it's worked in the past. Time will tell.
Yeah, I don't think it actually worked when Spurrier was putting them in there every other play. It did work for Florida, and when they were going, but they just had Tebow coming in, and this is what I would do.
Yeah, but didn't they win it with Warfel coming in every other play?
No. I don't think so. I'd have to go back and look. I don't think so, Jerry. I'll check into that one. Hey, I'm just, I'm telling you what I remember. You could be right. Tebow just came in running situations and goal line situations, and that's what I don't want to see Orji in the second play against Texas. It's some just random spot in the second quarter. Michigan gets down into the 10 at 5, and they want to bring him in to run a goal line package. Bring him in. You're at the 50, you got a 4th and 1. You want to bring him in? Bring him in. But do not just be, sprinkling them in, randomly. I know they've got some kind of rhyme or reason that they're doing it, try to, keep people off balance, but there is a rhythm to me and a momentum that you have with your quarterback. You got a guy standing over on the sideline. I hope that they do it differently coming up against Texas. Here's Jake for you. Jerry, he says Orji should have been on the field way longer. All right. We got Dave saying our kicker may have to win a game for us if he wants to beat Texas. I think you're good with that. Here's more people talking about that cover 0. Andre says the defense looked great. The offense needs to score and stay on the field.
Here's big in the second half, I thought.
Yeah. How about the defense was way too aggressive? Did you think that was the case? On the cover 0, you didn't like that one. I get that part.
I thought he brought a lot of pressure tonight, and I'm a little bit concerned.
All right, we'll take a couple more here. We could sit here all night talking with the feedback, and it's great to have everyone here. Kyle says everyone needs to get used to the idea that the way Michigan wins is the defense going lights out, getting some pick sixes, and giving field position for ZVADA to knock 50-yard field goals through. Does he have a point there?
Oh, I think it's been evident for 3 years. There's been many a time where Michigan defense has stepped up in big games and did just enough.
Here's Barry adding to our collection for when we get to 5,000 subscribers, the party that I'm going to throw with the money that is collected here. So if you are watching this for the first time and you're not a subscriber, get on in and then stay tuned for our big party that I'm going to be throwing out there, at least to get together to watch some football, which sounds like a lot of fun. Barry saying that we are now Iowa, apparently. Bad offense, great defense, and a tight end. Jerry, your thoughts on?
I think we got to. I think we got to go a little bit further in the season before we start saying that kind of stuff.
I'm with you on that. Mark says old 99. Is that who you were spotlighting, Jerry, yesterday? The defensive tackle looked fantastic. Any eligibility left?
Yeah. That was one of them. The one kid I forgot to mention was the transfer from SC. I mean, this kid was a top 3 recruit a few years ago, and SC got him, and he transferred over to Fresno. Again, this was no slouch team. That number 32, I can't think of his name, the DB, played lights out tonight. Braca played number 22. He played lights out. That's a good football team. They're well coached, and they were thinking of win. They were not thinking of staying close. They were thinking of win.
All right, we'll take 3 more questions and we'll have some final thoughts. Vince says, how much of tonight was vanilla play calling on purpose versus just not good play calling because we aren't very good?
I think the offensive staff looked at it and said, we're going to keep this offense as simple as possible. Not because we don't want to show Texas anything, but we don't want to make mistakes. And because mistakes will cost you a first game. Turnovers, penalties, missed assignments, that's what's cost people those first game losses. When you can minimize those mistakes, Keep your errors, your unforced errors in check, that you'll win games. But I think the offensive staff looked at a very young offense and said, let's keep it simple and get a W.
Two more before we get the final thoughts coming in. And Kyle says, it's not about Donovan Edwards doing good or bad. He needs a gap. Mullings is a run-through bodies kind of back. Edwards is a find-the-seam kind of back. Our offensive line is not moving the defensive enough. Do you think that's a fair point?
No, I'm going to go against you on the offensive line. Like I said, in that second half, I saw some creases. We saw Mullings get a 20. I think I said this Friday, Denny. In the first quarter, you're getting 2 and 3 and 4 yards on those rushes. Second half, those become 3 and 4. Late in the game, they become in the teens and in the 20s. And what did we see? Mullings in that fourth quarter, 18-yard run, 21-yard run, right back to back. Their defense was tired, and we mulled them over. And that's what happens with a running game. You've got to be patient. You got to be and stick to your game plan. We're going to be just fine. Our run game is going to be just fine. Our defense is going to be big all year.
I like that Quinn Ewers corrects to Sewers. When
I said Ewers, didn't I?
No, I was looking at somebody on the chat that mentioned. I know Arch Manning. Hopefully, you don't see Arch Manning coming up next week. All right, final point or question here for Jerry. The defense is from Justin, who says the defense and kicker are good. He has an exclamation point. He says, unfortunately, the offense showed him nothing that they can beat Texas with next week. He hopes he's wrong on that assumption, but the offense needs to make improvement now. Go ahead, Jerry. What about that point?
Well, I hope you're wrong, too. I think, Bo used to always say, the most improvement you're going to make in a year is from week 1 to week 2. We saw Texas today, very explosive team, 4 transfers, 2 from Alabama at wide receiver. Very good offensive team. However, we're going to see them come against a defense that they have not seen before. Hopefully our defense is going to look at itself and correct some errors. But our offensive line moves some people tonight. We've got some gashes. We started running the ball in the second half, and I think we're still trying to figure out who we are offensively.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. Let's make our final points here. I'll go first, Jerry, and I look ahead towards Texas next week. Michigan's at home. That's nice. Michigan's defense, if they can play with their starters, which I think we're not going to see any more rotations with the defense after this one. That was a little bit wild to me to see the secondary being rotated like it was in the first half, but feel like the defense and obviously ZVADA makes you feel really good about what Michigan has with their kicker and their defense. And Davis Warren, he's not going to be J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy wasn't even J.J. McCarthy at first. So, expecting Warren to see the field and unleash all these passes right on the receivers, I think that's going to take time to develop. I don't think the Davis Warren that we saw today is going to be the one that you see in October. You could say, fortunately or unfortunately, they've got Texas, and they're going to need Donovan Edwards, and they're going to need this running game. And what they're really going to need is this offensive line to play like they did on the drive after they got down 16-10. And, yeah, Mullings was a big part of that. And if they might not have the luxury to just feed Donovan Edwards a bunch of times, it might be over to Khalil Mullings, whichever way it's going to go. But Michigan will be in with a chance, with being at home, being the defending champs. Look, that game was never going to be easy. Texas, Oregon, did Oregon beat Idaho tonight? They were
14, I thought it was.
They were in a dogfight, with Idaho. And then Ohio State. They need to get one of those, and they still have a shot, to do that. That's how I see things, Jerry. What about you?
I agree totally, Denny. I'm we're 1-0. We beat a good Fresno team that's going to be competing for the Mountain West championship. That's what their goal is, and if they win it, they'll be in the playoffs. I understand. So we beat a good team. Davis Warren hit some big passes for us. He didn't lay an egg at all. I mean, I thought he was very effective. I'd like to see him stretch the field a little bit more, like I said earlier, but I thought he was very effective. Made some nice plays, and Loveland dropped one. It would have upped his average a little bit. So we had a couple drops. We're going to see some improvement from our receivers, I hope, going into next week. And I think our run game is going to continue to improve, and our defense is going to start learning a little bit more about itself as well.
Jerry, great job tonight. Thanks for staying up late. 30-10, Michigan wins it. As you said, they are 1-0, and they will play Texas coming up next week. Great job, and we'll talk with you next week here on the Maize and Blue Review.
Have a great night, Denny. Hail to the victors.
Smash that like button.